In October of 1927, the greatest minds in physics gathered in Brussels for what would become the most famous scientific photograph ever taken. Einstein sat at the center, surrounded by 17 Nobel Prize winners. They had assembled to discuss the implications of quantum mechanics, a new science that suggested reality itself didn't behave the way anyone thought it should. Einstein was disturbed, deeply disturbed. He would later write that God does not play dice with the universe, but the mathematics didn't care about his discomfort. The universe, it seemed, operated on principles that violated human intuition at the most fundamental level. Here is what makes this moment extraordinary. 1 year earlier in 1926, a sickly pulp fiction writer from Providence, Rhode Island, man who never finished college, who lived with his aunt, who wrote for penny dreadful magazines, published a short story called The Call of Cthulhu. In it, he wrote, "The most merciful thing in the world is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents." Think about that timing. While the world's greatest physicists were just beginning to grapple with the psychological vertigo of quantum uncertainty, Lovecraft had already articulated the existential crisis at its core. Not as science, as horror. This isn't coincidence, it's prophecy. Because what if horror isn't just a genre? What if it is a philosophy, a way of seeing the world that cuts closer to the truth than rationalism ever could? What if Lovecraft's monsters weren't metaphors for human fears, but his desperate attempt to describe what reality actually is? Today, we talk casually about quantum entanglement, dark matter, the simulation hypothesis. These sound like concepts ripped directly from Lovecraft's nightmares. And maybe they are. Or maybe Lovecraft saw something the scientists were too careful to acknowledge. So here's the question we're going to explore. Did H.P. Lovecraft understand reality better than the scientists of his time? And if so, what does that say about the reality we think we understand today? To answer that question, we need to understand the man himself. Because Lovecraft wasn't writing in a vacuum. He was writing at the exact moment human civilization was experiencing a philosophical earthquake. Howard Phillips. Lovecraft was born in 1890 into the dying embers of the Victorian Age of time, when the universe still made sense. Newton's laws governed the heavens with clockwork precision. Humanity was at the center of creation. Progress was inevitable. The future was bright, but Lovecraft's childhood was anything but bright. Sheltered, sickly, plagued by night terrors that would haunt him his entire life. He retreated into books. He devoured astronomy, chemistry, ancient history. He taught himself science because the local schools bored him. By his teens, he was writing columns for amateur astronomy journals, explaining the latest discoveries about the cosmos. And the cosmos was changing. In 1905, Einstein published his theory of special relativity. Time wasn't constant. Space wasn't fixed. The universe was far stranger than anyone had imagined. Then came general relativity in 1915, bending space-time itself. In 1927, the same year as that famous conference, Heisenberg introduced the uncertainty principle, proving that at the quantum level, reality itself is indeterminate, unknowable. In 1929, Edwin Hubble discovered the universe was expanding, pushing galaxies away from us into an infinite void. Lovecraft absorbed all of this. He understood the implications in a way most people didn't. Because he didn't have the luxury of professional detachment, he felt it. The weight of it. He developed a philosophy he called cosmicism. In a 1927 letter, he wrote, "All my tales are based on the fundamental premise that common human laws and interests and emotions have no validity or significance in the vast cosmos." Read that again. He's saying that everything we think matters. Our ambitions, our moral codes are provincial, local, irrelevant on the scale of the actual universe. This was heresy. The Victorian world believed in human acceptance. We were made in God's image. We were the point of creation. But Lovecraft watched that worldview collapse in real time. He lived through the death of anthropocentrism. Idea that humans are central, special, chosen. Science was proving we weren't. We were accidents on a rock, orbiting an average star in an unremarkable galaxy. Adrift in an incomprehensibly vast universe that didn't he know we existed and wouldn't he care if we vanished tomorrow. Most people tried not to think about it. Lovecraft couldn't stop thinking about it. And so he wrote stories where humans encountered the true nature of reality and went insane. Because that's what cosmicism meant. The truth is incompatible with human psychology. We evolved to survive on the African savanna, not to comprehend quantum foam or cosmic voids. Understanding reality might actually break us. And here's the uncomfortable part. Modern science is starting to agree with him. Let's dig into the mechanism. Why does Lovecraft's intuition align so perfectly with modern physics and neuroscience? The answer is uncomfortable, but elegant. Lovecraft understood that human perception isn't a window to reality. It's a user interface. Cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman has spent decades proving this through his interface theory of perception. Your senses didn't evolve to show you the truth. They evolved to keep you alive. When you see a tree, you're not seeing the actual quantum fields and molecular structures. You're seeing a simplified icon tree that's useful for survival. You can climb it, eat its fruit. That's all your brain needs. Lovecraft intuited this. A century ago, in the Call of Cthulhu, he wrote that we live on a placid island of ignorance, in the midst of black seas of infinity. That's not poetry. That's neuroscience. Consider what happens when your mind encounters something it can't reduce to a useful icon. That's where Lovecraftian horror lives. His monsters aren't just scary. They're literally incomprehensible, non-Euclidean geometry that hurts to look at. Colors that exist outside the visible spectrum. Angles that shouldn't be possible. Entities so alien that perceiving them causes madness. This is cognitive failure rendered as narrative. And here's the disturbing parallel. Try to visualize 11-dimensional string theory. Go ahead. Picture it. You can't. Your brain lacks the architecture. That sensation, that wall you hit, that's Lovecraftian horror. The universe operates on principles your mind cannot model. Now consider the anthropic principle. One of science's most uncomfortable ideas is that the laws of physics seem fine-tuned for human existence. The cosmological constant, the strength of gravity, the mass of electrons. If any were slightly different, we wouldn't exist. Some scientists find this comforting evidence of design, but the anthropic principle inverts it. We exist because the constants allow it, not the other way around. We're observing a universe that permits observers. It's selection bias on a cosmic scale. Lovecraft went further. What if we're not the intended result? What if consciousness is the accident? The glitch. Let's talk about scale. There are an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. Each contains roughly 200 billion stars. Your brain cannot process those numbers. Psychologists call this scale insensitivity. Beyond a certain magnitude, our cognition just stops. 1 million deaths becomes a statistic. 1 trillion galaxies becomes meaningless. Lovecraft's genius was making this incomprehensibility visceral. When his characters encounter cosmic entities, they don't just see something big. They experience the collapse of their mental framework. They realize they're insects trying to comprehend a cathedral. And then there's the hardest problem in philosophy: consciousness itself. Why does subjective experience exist? Why is there something it's like to be you? Neuroscience can map every neuron, but it can't explain why those neurons generate qualia, the redness of red, the painfulness of pain. Lovecraft's implicit answer, buried in stories like The Shadow Out of Time, is chilling. Consciousness might not be special. It might be a transmissible property, something that can inhabit different forms, different substrates, not a human birthright. Just another physical phenomenon we don't understand. The philosopher Kant distinguished between phenomena what we experience and Numananda, Thinganitsa, the reality behind appearances. We can only ever know phenomena. The noumenon is forever locked away. Lovecraft, creatures Cthulhu, Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, the noumenal realm breaking through. They're not symbolic, they're ontological. They represent reality as it actually is, unfiltered by human perception. And the encounter destroys us, because we were never built to see the truth. So if Lovecraft intuited these principles through narrative and philosophy, what happens when we check his work against 21st century science? The answer should disturb you. He was right. Again and again, modern research has validated his core vision. Let's start with quantum mechanics. The double-slit experiment is the most famous demonstration. Fire electrons one at a time through two slits, and they create an interference pattern as if each electron passes through both slits simultaneously. But observe which slit it goes through, and the pattern collapses. Observation changes reality. Lovecraft wrote The Color Out of Space about an entity that defies physical laws, that exists in dimensions human senses can't parse. Quantum mechanics is exactly that. Niels Bohr, one of the founders of quantum theory, said, "If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet." Then there's quantum entanglement. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance because it violated his intuition. Two particles can be connected such that measuring one instantly affects the other. Regardless of distance, no signal travels between them. It just happens. Instantaneous correlation across space. This is a metaphor. This is measured, repeatable reality. And it sounds like cosmic horror. Now, consider dark matter and dark energy. They make up 95% of the universe. We know they exist only through gravitational effects. We can't see them, can't touch them, can't detect them directly. They're invisible forces warping the fabric of space-time, and we're swimming through them right now. Lovecraft wrote the Dunwich Horror about invisible entities known only by their effects on our reality. Scientists are now saying, yes, that's essentially accurate. We are literally surrounded by something we cannot perceive. The Fermi paradox asks, where are all the aliens? If the universe is so vast and so old, intelligent life should be everywhere. But we see nothing. One explanation is the great filter, some inevitable catastrophe that destroys civilizations before they spread. Lovecraft's universe is built on this principle. Ancient civilizations rise, build impossible technologies, achieve godlike power and then vanish without trace, forgotten by an indifferent cosmos. The universe doesn't preserve meaning. It erases. Italiano. Even more disturbing. Oumuamua, the first confirmed interstellar object detected passing through our solar system, briefly made scientists genuinely entertain the alien artifact hypothesis because its acceleration couldn't be fully explained. For a moment, the scientific community confronted the possibility that we just witnessed something we had no framework for understanding. Then there's artificial intelligence. Modern systems like GPT models and AlphaFold make decisions we cannot fully explain. They solve problems through processes opaque, even to their creators. We call it the black box problem. We are creating intelligence that operates beyond human comprehension. Lovecraft wrote about the Elder Things and the great race of Yit, so alien their logic cannot be parsed by human minds. We're building exactly that, on purpose. Neuroscientist Anil Seth has demonstrated that your brain doesn't passively receive reality. It actively hallucinates your experience based on predictions and prior assumptions. Oliver Sacks documented patients whose brain damage revealed how fragile the construct of reality is. People who couldn't recognize faces, who lost the ability to perceive motion, who experienced time as fragments. If consciousness is a controlled hallucination, what lies beneath? What is the actual reality your brain is shielding you from? And finally, existential risk studies. Researchers like Nick Bostrom cataloged the ways humanity could be erased. Asteroid impacts, gamma ray bursts, runaway climate change, engineered pandemics. We exist on a knife's edge, cosmically speaking. One random cosmic event, and we're gone. No meaning preserved. No legacy remembered. Cosmic indifference isn't philosophical speculation. It's physics. So where does this leave us? Lovecraft wasn't a prophet. He didn't have secret knowledge. He simply did what scientists are often too disciplined to do. He followed the implications all the way down. He removed the psychological buffer. Scientists discover uncomfortable truths and maintain professional distance. They compartmentalize. They focus on equations, on models, on the next experiment. It's a survival strategy for the mind necessary, even healthy. Lovecraft removed that barrier. He lived in the implications. He felt the full existential weight of cosmicism and translated it into narrative. Writer Thomas Ligotti, perhaps Lovecraft, Esse truth, modernere, put it perfectly. We are contradictions-conscious beings in an unconscious universe. That's the core dissonance. We are meaning-making machines in a cosmos without meaning. We are pattern-seeking creatures in a reality governed by quantum randomness. We are storytellers who evolved to explain the world, trapped in a universe that doesn't owe us an explanation. But here's where Lovecraft's legacy becomes something other than nihilism. Cosmic horror, properly understood, isn't pessimism. It's radical honesty. It's the courage to look at reality without the comforting fictions. Religious meaning. A human construct, historical progress. A narrative we tell ourselves. Human specialness, provincial vanity. And there's a strange freedom in that. If the universe doesn't judge you, you're released from cosmic obligation. There's no ultimate meaning you're failing to fulfill. No divine plan you're betraying. You're just here, a temporary pattern of matter and energy, capable of experiencing beauty and connection and thought. Lovecraft's gift, and it is a gift, though a terrible one, is permission to acknowledge the terror without flinching, to see clearly, to accept that we are cosmically insignificant and psychologically equipped to understand only a thin slice of reality, and to keep living anyway. So here's the final question, the one Lovecraft poses to every reader. Do you want to be cosmically significant, or do you want to know the truth? Most philosophical systems offer you both. They promise that understanding reality will reveal your importance. Lovecraft offers the opposite bargain. Understanding means accepting insignificance. Enlightenment is the death of ego. And maybe that's why he understood reality better than the scientists. Not because he knew more, but because he was willing to feel what that knowledge meant. Picture again that 1927 conference. Einstein surrounded by colleagues, all of them grappling with the implications of quantum mechanics. They were brilliant, disciplined, rigorous. They would spend decades trying to reconcile the mathematics with their intuitions. Lovecraft, dying of cancer and poverty, writing for pulp magazines, already understood. Every major scientific breakthrough is a Lovecraftian revelation, a moment. We realize reality is stranger than we can naturally comprehend, that the universe doesn't conform to human logic, that we are not the point. Perhaps the real horror isn't that we live in a Lovecraft story. It's that we always have. We're just finally starting to read it.